but well worth repeating that right now Rhode Island has the momentum. And the budget that I signed yesterday gives us the tools to ensure that our momentum continues. So it's great to be here at the Roger Williams Zoo, and thank you for hosting here and on the 100th year. The 100th year anniversary. We want to make sure that we're highlighting all our locations, all our destinations in the state of Rhode Island, and here to be here today is one of our great destinations for people in the state. So we want to continue to provide relief to Rhode Islanders right now and making long-term fiscally responsible investments in Rhode Island's future. And as I said yesterday, we're going to go around the state so Rhode Islanders know about the programs and initiatives included in the budget and the momentum that our state has. I just left the Hasbro headquarters in Providence with the partnership there that is doing a Compete Rhode Island program, and we have municipalities that we're learning about how they could access as much as $700 million of infrastructure dollars in the state. So we want to make sure we're partnering with every single community in the state of Rhode Island and make sure that that is something that we take advantage of, and partnering in with the leagues and cities and town as well. But today we're talking about electric vehicles and the climate. And I'm proud to kick off our Rhode Island Momentum Tour by launching Drive EV, my administration's new electric vehicle rebate program, which will open on July 7th, 2022, just in a few days. So Drive EV supports the adoption of electric vehicles by Rhode Island residents, small businesses, nonprofits, and public sector entities. The rebates will help reduce the cost of electric vehicles for consumers, and with additional incentives available for those with lower incomes, making EV ownership more affordable to a greater number of Rhode Islanders. Electric vehicles also help reduce carbon and other harmful emissions in our neighborhoods, particularly for those living in climate justice communities. I'll let Chris go into some of the details of the program, but this electric vehicle rebate program will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and harmful particles from the transportation sector in line with the Act on Climate goals. Also in the budget that I signed yesterday, $22 million plus in federal funds to expand Rhode Island's network of electric vehicle charging stations. This is follows through on the commitment that we have in terms of reducing the carbon gas emissions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chris for details on the office from our Office of Energy Resources to tell Rhode Islanders more about this program and how they can get these rebates. I think you remember a few weeks back that we said that we would be launching this program, and Chris has been working very around the clock to make sure that we're taking advantage of everything that's in the budget, but also to make sure that we support the effort of the Act on Climate, and part of that is to get electric vehicles on our roads in the state of Rhode Island over the next several years. Chris?
Thank you, Governor. Again, thank you, Governor, for the introduction, and thank you for your climate leadership. Governor, since you signed the Act on Climate last year, the Office of Energy Resources has been working to advance important greenhouse gas emission reduction strategy targets across our electric, heating, and transportation sectors. We have been collaborating across the administration through the EC4, the Executive Climate Change Council, along with energy, environmental stakeholders, and lawmakers, and engage citizens to explore needs of our community as we develop vitally important pathways towards a zero-emission economy by 2050. Just for general background, there are currently 5,627 electric vehicles registered in Rhode Island. We wish to see that number grow. We're excited to announce today we're going to be providing $1.25 million in electric vehicle rebates to local residents, small businesses, nonprofits, and public sector entities. Drive EV will support the purchase or lease of new and used electric vehicles that will help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector. When the program launches on July 7th, eligible applicants may be eligible for up to $2,500 for a new or a leased battery or fuel cell electric vehicle. Drive provides individual rebates of up to $2,500 for the purchase of a new battery electric vehicle or a fuel cell vehicle, and up to $1,500 for new plug-in hybrid vehicles. We are also including used vehicles as well. The Drive program offers rebates up to $1,500 for the purchase or lease of a used battery electric vehicle or a fuel cell electric vehicle, and up to $750 for plug-in hybrid vehicles. Drive rebates are reserved and awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. We are also mindful that many of our neighbors wish to participate in the fight against climate change, but find some investments just out of reach. Therefore, we are providing additional incentives up to $2,000 for Rhode Islanders participating in state or federal income qualified programs or meet income eligibility requirements. But it's not just individuals who will be able to participate in this program. Our fleet incentive structure will support EV adoption by Rhode Island's small businesses, nonprofits, and public sector entities. We are providing additional incentives to those entities and municipalities with high asthma rates in the state due to traffic exposure, including the cities of Central Falls, Cranston, East Providence, Pawtucket, and Providence. And as the governor mentioned, in addition to the launch of the EV car rebate incentive program, we are currently working on the implementation of the electric vehicle charging infrastructure program with the federal dollars. We plan to file our plan to the federal government in early August and hope to get approval to launch those funds to Rhode Islanders in the early fall time period. So with that, again, Governor, thank you for your leadership on this effort. Again, the program launches on July 7th. www.drive.ri.gov. There will be guidance information posted today on that website with all the specific details, and then the application forms and other information will go live on the website on July 7th. Thank you.
We'll take questions related to the program at the podium. Pat?
Absolutely. Even with generous rebates, the typical starting point for a new electric vehicle is in excess of $30,000. Assuming the full $4,500 in rebates, your starting point then is about $26,000 plus state and local taxes. You're looking at a car payment somewhere in the mid-$500 range to begin with. How do you expect low-income drivers to be able to afford that?
So ultimately, this is an evolution of the initial Drive program that was made available. What we've also inserted into the incentives is limiting in terms of new electric vehicles capped at up to $60,000 for a vehicle, and then used up to $40,000. We recognize that that may not bridge the gap for all consumers, but we wanted to have an evolution from the initial program that in terms of an electric vehicle for $100,000, those people don't necessarily potentially need the incentive. So we've reduced the eligibility in terms of the price of the vehicle for consumers. And again, we're providing additional incentives in terms of those that are income eligible. Again, all those details will be posted on our website. So we believe we're heading in the right direction, having an evolution of this program from the initial one to see how many more Rhode Islanders we can attract to be able to participate in the program.
One quick follow-up. By the way, that doesn't answer the question. But my other question is, what is the per mile cost, given roughly $5 a gallon gas prices? What is the per mile cost differential between, say, a brand new version of this and a brand new economy car?
Per mile cost, I don't have those numbers off the top of my head. I'd be more than happy to follow up with you afterwards with our team that's involved with the implementation of this program.
And just ultimately, the energy is generated by the use of carbon-based fuel, isn't it?
So we are gradually and accelerating the shift towards renewable energy. So our goal is to ultimately have more of these EV vehicles charged with renewable resources. As some of you know, the legislature passed 100% renewable energy standard by 2033. We believe that policy tied with this will start to accelerate more EV infrastructure, including what's being installed currently, but also the federal dollars that will be leveraged to tie more of those charging stations towards renewable energy resources.
Steve?
Where is this money coming from?
So So ultimately, this funding, the $1.25 million, is coming from the Office of Energy Resources within the funding mechanisms that we receive either through the General Assembly, through our energy laws, or dollars that we receive through the federal government.
Any of it in the just passed state budget?
The roughly $23 million, that is focused purely on the electric vehicle infrastructure that will be deployed along 95 other locations in the state.
$23 million.
So approximately. So ultimately, it's federal dollars from the federal infrastructure law. Each state was allocated a certain dollar amount to deploy EV charging infrastructure within their respective state. The governor introduced his legislation to establish the framework of how that program would be managed by the Office of Energy Resources in consultation with the Department of Transportation and the Department of Environmental Management.
These rebates don't affect the 5,000 plus already operative electric vehicles.
Correct. This EV rebate incentive will be only available to new EV vehicles purchased on July 7th or thereafter. There are specific requirements in terms of documentation that will need to be submitted to our office to process the rebate payments.
What's the rationale here?
So ultimately, as the governor has mentioned multiple times, we strongly believe that we have to address climate change and implement the Act on Climate. Transportation plays a significant role in our greenhouse gas emissions. We believe this program plays a role in reducing our transportation emissions to achieve the objectives of the Act on Climate.
Thank you.
Forgive me if it's been mentioned, but how many charge points like that are across the state? Is there a plan to grow those?
I don't have the specific number in my brain. My colleague Sarah, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand, she's our electric vehicle charging station guru. I'd be happy to get those numbers to you guys.
Governor, you want to buy one of those cars?
Eventually. Eventually, yes. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, you got the you got what, 2030 by 2035. Ford is, that's all they're going to be making. Right? Is these, and that's why, to answer Pat's question, it's one step at a time, and we start the work now to make sure that we're prepared to take advantage of all the opportunities that are coming down the line.
Are there any currently in the state fleet or any plans to buy any EVs for the state fleet?
Yes, I think that we've started. We announced, which is not necessarily state fleet, but Rifter is part of the state, programs. They're going to be buying buses. We're going to be buying.
A lot of cars.
Yes, and our plan is to move into that.
Is that in the planning stage? Is that presently operative?
I think it's in the planning stage at the moment, but I know that we're, as we buy vehicles, that we're buying electrified vehicles or hybrid type of vehicles.
Any other questions?
Around to car dealerships, a lot of the cheaper electric vehicle models have wait lists to get a $30,000 Chevy Bolt. I mean, how quickly do you think this rollout will actually help when people who maybe hear about these rebates and are interested then have to go on a long wait list to get a car?
Yeah, so I mean, we know that there's a wait list on multiple items, right? The supply chain issues are out there; they're real. But again, we're starting something. People are going to be taking advantage of it, and if it fits into that schedule, they're going to take advantage of it. But if we waited until the supply chain was available, then we would have lost a great deal of opportunity. So we're launching this now to make sure that we get ahead of the curve.
Do you have a goal for how many new electric vehicles you'd like to see Rhode Islanders buy in the next year, the first year of this program?
I asked Chris that question. I think that the first round, I think we have got a 250. I think this round would be closer to 500.
Last question, Pat.
Question: are the charge point that's going to be the official system for the state, non-Tesla system?
Yeah, so I know the Department of Transportation hosted, I think, a couple of webinars last week regarding the preparation for the filing of the plan to the federal government regarding the $22+ million. Ultimately, how that gets deployed is still being under discussion in terms of the type of EV charging infrastructure and the models that may be available. The first step is we have to get approval through the federal government.
And what are those going to be free of charge?
Depending on the location, again, we're looking at both municipal park and rides, and then eventually, again, because this funding is spread out over 3 to 4 years, eventually into private parking lots. So those details will need to be figured out in terms of which charging stations are free, which ones will require a fee depending on the location.
And the final follow-up, with ChargePoint, you have to be banked. and I know that's a term that's foreign to perhaps people in government, but there's a significant part of Rhode Island that is unbanked. You require credit cards. Is there going to be any accommodation made to those folks who don't have a traditional banking account, therefore cannot register with ChargePoint?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I know those details are being fleshed out with our team. Again, Sarah's deeply involved with the preparation of filing the federal plan. I know the Department of Transportation, I think, posted 3 webinars over the last week as part of the governor's budget article in terms of the EV charging. It does require some additional public outreach and comment periods regarding the development of this plan, which we plan to pursue in the upcoming month.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.